Chapter 13, A One Snow Mastiff. Luosong's body was cut in two, and he fell to the ground, screaming miserably. Beheading, this way of death is too cruel. Everyone around was horrified when they saw this scene. The people on the coalition side, including the people of the Paji family, looked at Liang Yu and couldn't help but gasp. It's not because Liang Yu won. It's because Liang Yu won too easily, and her fighting style is simply a dimensionality reduction attack for the aliens on the snowy plateau. Liang Yu's victory was not entirely based on her physical strength. Instead, she observed the opponent's weaknesses and then combined various means to restrict them and finally killed them with one blow. To this day, the aliens on the snowy plateau still use the ancient way of life and death. 2.5 years after the end of the world, the four chieftain families, who are still fighting each other and consuming each other, have put almost all their strength on internal fighting. This has also led to their technological development level stagnating and even going backwards. And Liang Yu's fighting style taught them a good lesson. It turns out that fighting can be done this way. The faces of Yashalangtai Deji, Laminoju, and Xiaja Jiatsua were a little ugly. They thought that Luosang and Liang Yu would have a fierce battle. Even if they could not win, they would at least consume a lot of the opponent's physical strength, and it would be best to cause her serious injuries to pave the way for the next victory. But unexpectedly, Liang Yu killed Luosang, which could be said to be effortless. This was far beyond their expectations. Laminoju and Xiaja Jiatsua looked at Deji with some concern. Chiba, the next person to appear depends on your Yashalangtai family. Although the two did not say it clearly, the meaning in their eyes was very clear. They have done what they should do. Now there is only one person left on the other side. If the representative sent by the Yashalangtai family loses, then their family will bear all the responsibility for the failure of this mission. Deji looked into the distance, and he seemed to be able to sense the sharp eyes of Paji Gasang. He took a deep breath and said in a calm tone, "Don't worry, you can't lose." Because the last person to appear was the wandering monk who was responsible for fighting in Songjia Temple. There is such a kind of monk among the tantric monks. They enter the temple, don't practice Buddhism very much, and often go out to fight without observing the precepts. Such people are called wandering monks, like the warrior monks in the Central Plains temples, who are responsible for defending the temples. Now that the end of the world is coming, the status of wandering monks has become more important. Deji has specially trained a group of thugs. People like Luo Luan are all representatives of wandering monks, also known as Didwa. Muchuan, Ashina, and Zongbu are all notorious wandering monks. Xiaja Jiatsua and Laminoju's eyes became cautious. After Muchuan and others died in battle, there were almost no famous people in the wandering monk faction. But Deji was so confident, it seems that he has an unknown trump card in his hand. Deji just turned his head indifferently and said to the monks behind him, "Call Yanai." The monks bowed their heads and turned away. Not long after, a thin lama with messy hair and crooked monk's hat came to the battlefield. He held a vajra stick in one hand and 3 black vicious dogs in the other. Snow Mastiff, a special breed of dog in the snowy plateau. Each one is nearly 1 person tall and 3 or 4 meters long. The black hair covered his face, and he was as docile as a sheep in the hands of the skinny monk. When he saw this man, even Deji couldn't help frowning. The most unruly monk in Songjia Temple, Vajra, Yanai. This is a monk with a perverse personality, who likes drinking and fighting. Sometimes, he will not obey Deji's orders. But he is also the closest to Ypsilon in Songjia Temple, and his military strength is second only to the funeral master. Moreover, he tamed 3 extremely powerful snow mastiffs. Mastiffs are a very sacred creature in the snowy region. Legend has it that real mastiffs can fight tigers and leopards. After the end of the world, these dog breeds also mutated in order to survive. They were originally extremely adaptable to the cold environment, and were simply blessed by nature. They quickly became the best among the creatures in the snowy region. These 3 snow mastiffs were once the kings of a region and killed countless creatures. But later, they were all subdued by Yanai and became the war beasts he raised. When seeing the three mastiffs, Lemon Oju's face suddenly changed. That mastiff, could it be the demon dragon dog that was causing trouble in the snowy mountains in the northwest before? She pointed to one of the mastiffs and said. Deji nodded slowly. Yes, that one, he said, raising his hand and pointing to the three black mastiffs. It's not the most powerful one, the two next to it are even more terrifying. The dog demon on the far left once led a large number of mutant monsters to slaughter an entire city. The white-browed one next to it was raised by Songjia Temple, listening to Buddhist scriptures in front of monks since childhood. It is the only sacred beast blessed by the power of Tantra. These three mastiffs, each of which has an ability index of more than 9,000 points. The three of them, plus Yanai with an ability index of 9,800 points, this battle cannot be lost, Deji said calmly, as if victory was already in their pockets. Lemon Oju and Xiaxia Gyatso were shocked and relieved when they heard this. It seems that the outcome of this battle will not be too suspenseful. On the side of the Pai family, the private soldiers were also whispering, "Why did you bring a dog here? Isn't this cheating? You can't say that. War beasts are also part of strength. After all, some aliens rely on the ability to control beasts. But the three mastiffs look very fierce. We won't lose, right?" The people behind him were whispering, and Paji Gaseng just glanced at Zhang Yi. Seeing Zhang Yi's indifferent look, he felt a little relieved. Yanai led the three mastiffs to the snowy plain. He looked at Liang Yu in the distance, blew his nose first, and then wiped his hands on his dirty monk's robe. Then he put on an ugly smile and bowed to Liang Yu. Liang Yu nodded in response. Then, Yanai walked over and untied the collars on the three mastiffs' necks. It was like removing like a seal. When the collar was opened, the pupils of the three mastiffs immediately burst out with extremely fierce and terrifying killing intent. From their bodies, a frightening momentum quickly swept across the entire battlefield. The low barking of dogs resounded throughout the fields, and their eyes stared at Liang Yu fiercely, wishing to tear her into pieces immediately. At this time, Huahua's round little head emerged from the collar on Liang Yu's chest. Looking at the three terrifying mastiffs, it opened its mouth and yawned lazily. Chapter 13:02 Buddhas, Light Shines Everywhere. Yanai loosened the collar of the mastiff in his hand and said in the local language of the snowy region, "Go." Roar. The three huge mastiffs roared excitedly. They had been bound by Yanai for too long, and today they were finally able to follow their nature. The three mastiffs were like dragons, running at high speed on the snow, wanting to tear the enemy in front of them to pieces. Yanai himself was not idle either. He held the Vajra stick in his right hand, his left hand erected in front of his chest, and muttered the Buddha's name. Suddenly, a sacred golden light burst out from his body. His robes were shabby and dirty, but under the reflection of the Buddha's light, he looked tall and sacred. Behind him, a huge Buddha shadow slowly emerged. The Buddha picked up a flower with his hand. With a smile of pity for the world, he looked down at Liang Yu in the distance and even the entire army of the Paji family. The golden Buddha light blessed the three snow-covered mastiffs, and their hair was dyed with a layer of sacred gold. Galloping like a tiger, like a divine beast that wanted to slay demons and monsters, it roared and rushed towards Liang Yu. Huahua felt their killing intent, and a cold light flashed in her lazy eyes. It rushed out of Liang Yu's clothes. A residual image that could not be captured by the naked eye passed through the air. The three mastiffs that rushed over with great momentum suddenly let out a miserable whine. Only a chewing sound was heard. The more fierce the momentum of the three mastiffs rushed over, the more miserable their current state was. No one saw what happened, but the next moment, the three mastiffs seemed to be pecked hard by something, and their bodies fell to the ground one after another. Yanai, who was covered with Buddha's light, was also stunned for a moment. Immediately, the muscles on his face twitched rapidly, because he saw that the three mastiffs he had raised with great difficulty were pinned to the ground by an orange civet cat, gnawing at their brains. The three mastiffs were killed by Huahua in an instant. It stepped on their huge heads as if no one was around and ate their delicious brains pickily. The whole place was silent. There was only the sound of crunching on the field, and everyone's brain circuits were down at this time. Those 3 mastiffs, which were extremely powerful and had caused great trouble to humans on the snowy plateau, were killed so easily. Only a few people around Zhang Yi knew about it. Huahua was the real second-in-command of Zhang Yi's team. On the surface, it was Liang Yu who went to fight, but in fact, Huahua was the one who really covered the bottom. However, in order not to expose his identity, Zhang Yi told Huahua not to show his true identity. But even with this posture, it was as easy for it to kill the 3 mastiffs as eating beans. Deiji's face suddenly changed. Everything happened so suddenly that his hands and his sleeves could not help but tremble. He thought he would win, but now it has become a joke. Not only did the 3 mastiffs under Yanai die in battle, but Yanai must also face Liang Yu and a civet cat with immeasurable strength. The ability to kill 3 mastiffs in 1 second alone would definitely not be lower than 9,800 points. Even in the direction of horror, that civet cat could fight Yanai alone. On the coalition side, almost everyone's face was full of gloom. The sudden change in the battle situation caught them off guard. Including Yanai, who was casting a spell, was stunned for a long time and didn't know what to say. Liang Yu drew her sword and stepped forward. She said to Huahua, "Huahua, you can just scout for me." She didn't deliberately lower her voice, so Yanai could hear it. In other words, Liang Yu was telling Yanai that if I can't deal with you, my war beast will take action. Yanai's face turned pale, and he clenched the Vajra stick in his hand. Now, he felt a little more pressure in his heart. He had to fight Liang Yu while guarding against the mutant cat demon who might rush up to kill him at any time. But now, the coalition forces are already in a difficult situation. Even though they know the situation is not optimistic, they can't afford to lose. They can only bite the bullet and bet everything on Yanai. Liang Yu raised his long knife, flashed, and rushed towards Yanai at a very fast speed. This speed is faster than Solong Deiji before. It's like a gust of wind. Yanai chanted the Buddha's name, and the fierceness in his eyes flashed. If he retreated, he would definitely be executed by Deiji, not only losing face, but also suffering more painful treatment than death. It's better to fight to the death here. Maybe things can turn around. Amit Ba. He chanted the Buddha's name, and the holy light around his body suddenly became more turbulent. The huge Buddha's shadow became more and more solid near him, and a sacred light shone from the Buddha's statue to the sky. In an instant, the Buddha's light pierced through the dark clouds in the sky, and in the thick clouds, one holy light after another hung down warmly. Liang Yu was approaching Yanai at the fastest speed at this time, his agile legs galloping on the snowy plain like a cheetah. But suddenly, she felt the Buddha's light coming down from the sky. Chi-chi, chi-chi. A sound like a knife cutting metal came to her ears, and the armor's intelligence system immediately gave a reminder. The armor is under attack. The damage level is 0.01, 0.02, 0.03. Liang Yu took a quick glance and found that the color on the armor was slowly fading, as if it was scratched by something. She subconsciously raised her head and looked up at the sky. At this moment, she realized that Yanai's holy light attack was an indiscriminate attack over a wide area. "Fortunately, I'm wearing flammable armor," Liang Yu said secretly in her heart. Otherwise, if she simply relied on her body to resist, even if she would not be seriously injured, it would affect her movements, and the pain was real. Liang Yu sped up, and at this moment she was less than 100 meters away from Yanai. Facing an opponent who is good at long-range attacks, then fight close to him. Yanai was also a little surprised to find that his attack was ineffective against Liang Yu, and then he also found that Liang Yu's armor blocked his attack. This surprised Yanai. On the snowy plateau, powerful aliens also wear combat uniforms, most of which are purchased from other regions. After all, the Southwest region's own technological level is not high enough. But even those combat uniforms can hardly block his attack. What kind of technological product is this? And it is so powerful. No wonder he was surprised. This is the first time that Lu Kuarant's technological product has appeared on the official battlefield. Its defense and comprehensive combat level are now first class in the world. Not to mention that in the relatively backward southwest region, the exoskeleton armor created by Lu Kuarant is a clear-cut leader. Chapter 13 3000-handed to Thagata. Without giving Yanai time to be surprised, Liang Yu had already killed him. The long sword flashed with cold light, and blue air flowed out from her limbs and bones, entwining her whole body along the gaps in the armor. Mind entanglement can greatly enhance her strength and release medium and short-range mind attacks. 50 meters, the range that the blade can cover. Liang Yu did not hesitate at all, and slashed directly at Yanai with a knife. Yanai's reaction speed was not slow either. His left hand was still erected in front of his chest, and a strong golden light enveloped his whole body. Liang Yu's blade passed by and collided violently with his body-protecting golden light. The two powerful forces offset each other. Shwa! The blade light passed by 1 meter in front of him. Although it did not penetrate his body-protecting golden light, it also defeated most of his defense. This made Yanai alert. The opponent in front of him was very powerful. Although the attack did not succeed, Liang Yu was not in a hurry at all. The strengthening system is the one with the largest upper and lower limits among all alien types. It basically strengthens the physique of the alien and does not have too many fancy abilities. However, this kind of basic quality enhancement can exert unimaginable power in the hands of a true master. Because strong physical fitness means strong vitality, endurance, strength, speed, and defense. Therefore, Liang Yu's fighting method is also simple enough. As long as she gets close to you and does not have absolutely strong defense, she will find an opportunity to kill you with one blow. She can make countless mistakes, and her opponent will die if he makes one mistake. Yanai also launched his own counterattack. He murmured, to Thagata 1,000 hands Dharma. The Buddha's phantom behind him suddenly began to change, and his two arms slowly spread out to both sides like a lotus blooming. Soon, a huge phantom of the 1,000 hands to Thagata appeared behind him. Compared with this huge Buddha phantom, Liang Yu standing on the ground was as small as a bug. Yanai looked at Liang Yu and swung his left hand fiercely. Go! The Buddha behind him put away his compassion and made a Vajra-like angry appearance, and then countless fists slammed towards Liang Yu fiercely. This was an attack like a violent storm. Liang Yu's eyes were cold, without the slightest fear, just raised the long knife in her hand and chose to face the enemy head-on. Bang! 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 The attacks of the 1,000-handed Tathagata were as dense as a rainstorm, and the ground in front of them was soon smashed and continued to sink. The original battlefield had already formed a huge basin at this time, and everyone hurried to the edge of the basin, watching the battle below. Liang Yu held the knife in both hands and fought back one by one. The huge fist looked extremely powerful, but after all, it was not a real fist, but just a supernatural power. Liang Yu could smash it with one knife. Her figure was as swift as a cheetah, shuttling between the gaps in the attacks of the 1,000-handed Tathagata, and kept fighting back. After a round of attacks, Liang Yu's body was not injured at all. After Yanai's attack ended, his supernatural power was temporarily vacant, which gave Liang Yu a great opportunity. She leaped and flew to 50 meters in front of Yanai. The Buddha's light became more and more blazing, and Yanai's protective Buddha's light penetrated everywhere. Liang Yu's armor was cut and dropped tiny metal chips. After the Buddha's light passed, the earth was cut into small and dense pieces. But it couldn't hurt Liang Yu's body, so it couldn't affect her movements. He still slashed with a knife, aiming at Yanai's body. Yanai finally didn't dare to take the risk, for he was afraid that Liang Yu would really cut through his protective Buddha's light this time. The Vajra stick in his right hand fought back. Dang! The sound of metal collision sounded. The power above made Yanai's face suddenly turn pale, and the golden light of his body almost collapsed. He retreated hundreds of steps, and the palm of his right hand, the tiger's mouth had already cracked, and blood was flowing. I have the Buddha's light to protect my body, but I can't bear her power? Yanai looked at his bleeding right palm in astonishment. In front, Liangyu came to kill. Yanai took a deep breath and activated the 1,000 Hands Tathagata again to fight against Liangyu. His attack was indeed fierce enough. The attack of thousands of palms had no blind spots. With the power that seemed to penetrate the planet, it smashed down towards Liangyu below. Liangyu's body seemed to have endless strength, and he fought head-on. Is this what you rely on? I will smash your Buddha statue first. Liangyu leaped up and quickly went up along one of the Buddha's hands. The long knife in his hand slashed across the arm of Tathagata and directly shattered the golden light. Yanai realized Liangyu's idea and hurriedly used other Buddha's hands to block it. However, this hasty attack was directly blown away by Liangyu's knife. She was like a whirlwind and flew to the head of the Buddha in an instant. Then he held the knife with both hands, and the blue air wrapped around the blade, and the rich power was like a blue wind. It surged like a storm over the Buddha's head. Ha! Liangyu did not hesitate, and chopped down with a knife at the Buddha's head. Bang! 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 Yanai immediately controlled the Buddha's hands and put his hands together above his head as if worshipping. Thousands of Buddha's hands blocked Liangyu's blade. This knife chopped down fiercely, directly cutting off hundreds of Buddha's hands, and then exhausted. Liangyu frowned slightly, controlled the armor, and quickly moved away in flight mode. The power of the knife was exhausted, and she was easily attacked in the air. Sure enough, the moment she dodged, hundreds of Buddha's hands grabbed her fiercely. Zhang Yi saw the scene in the field, and his eyes were a little solemn. This sturdy Lama is quite powerful. He was not worried about Liangyu's safety. But Yanai's ability did make him admire it. This ability is both offensive and defensive, and it is extremely powerful in both attack and defense. Zhang Yi couldn't help but think about it. If this person stepped into the realm of Epsilon, he would have to spend a lot of effort to deal with him. No wonder the coalition put him last. His strength is among the top among all the Delta-level aliens Zhang Yi has seen. Can Liangyu beat him? Zhang Yi couldn't help but be a little curious. But he didn't worry about the outcome of the battle. After all, Huahua was still there. Liangyu may not be able to beat Yanai, but they must win this battle. Liangyu glided down with the help of the armor. She looked at Yanai in front of her and frowned slightly. The defense is too strong. Not to mention the big Buddha, Yanai's body protection holy light is not so easy to break through. Try again from another angle. Chapter 13, 04AO War. Surrounding the huge Buddha phantom, Liangyu began to run quickly around it. The speed was so fast that it turned into a circular airflow around the Buddha. Yanai held his breath with a serious face. With his eyes alone, he couldn't even see Liangyu's position at this time. Because he looked around, Liangyu's afterimage was everywhere. Is this trying to find my weakness? Yanai didn't dare to be careless. The Buddha's light around him was extremely sacred, protecting him as if he was invulnerable to all laws. Whoosh! Liangyu suddenly jumped up. This time she came behind the Dharma image and stabbed Yanai's back with a knife. Yanai couldn't have eyes behind him. Liangyu thought this was his blind spot for defense. But Yanai still discovered this awe-inspiring aura. He didn't turn around, but the Buddha's phantom head that was protecting him turned 180 degrees strangely, with a cold smile on his face. Endless fists smashed down. Liangyu swung the long sword in his hand, and a sharp blade light flashed, resisting the attacks of these fists, and then quickly retreated. There is no blind spot behind me. Liangyu frowned a little deeper, and her mind was racing, looking around. Finally, her eyes fell on Yanai's feet. The shadow of the Buddha protected Yanai's body, but what about the ground below? After thinking of this, Liangyu suddenly thrust the long sword into the ground at the moment of landing. The surging energy burst out suddenly. Boom! This move caused the surrounding ground to break again in an instant, and the already sunken ground suffered a new round of destruction. The ground under Yanai's feet shook violently, but his legs seemed to be rooted in the ground, and as the ground sank, there was no shaking at all. At this moment, a sharp cold light penetrated the ground under his feet and shot at his jaw. Liang Yu's attack was just a cover-up. The real method was to use the nanowires to send a short sword to Yanai's body and launch a surprise attack on him. As long as Liang Yu was still in Yanai's field of vision, he had to focus all his attention on Liang Yu, and it was difficult to guard against the attack from below. The sudden attack made Yanai's eyes flash with astonishment. He reacted very quickly and retreated violently. Puff! The short sword flew from his chin to the air, stuck to his throat, and left a long blood line directly on his neck. Yanai felt pain, and the sudden panic caused his steps to become unstable. Liang Yu disconnected the nanowires that controlled the short sword without hesitation and drew his sword and rushed towards Yanai. The blade of the long sword passed through the air like autumn water and slashed fiercely on Yanai's body, protecting holy light, like cutting a piece of heavy metal, and kept moving forward. When Yanai finally managed to stabilize his body, the long sword was less than 30 centimeters away from his head. This situation frightened him so much that he broke out in a cold sweat and launched a powerful attack. Holding the diamond stick in his hand, he roared and collided with the long sword. At the critical moment, he blocked Liang Yu's attack. However, the recoil of this attack still made Yanai's blood boil. His body retreated dozens of meters, and his legs drew 2 deep grooves on the ground. Such a scene made the atmosphere in the coalition camp extremely heavy. The victory and defeat have been decided. If Yanai is so struggling to deal with Liang Yu and cannot defeat her quickly, then how can he deal with the tabby cat behind him, who is leisurely eating the brain of the mastiff and looking at this place with a gleam in his eyes from time to time? How can there be such a powerful beast in this world willing to submit to humans? Who are they? Deiji's body was already shaking with anger and the impending failure. He couldn't imagine the consequences of losing this battle. His reputation will be ruined, and even the Lumen and Shaza families may have other ideas. And all this is because the funeral master who grew up in Songjia Temple refused to take action. Deiji couldn't help but feel a little pain in his heart.
But all this was caused by him.
The former funeral master was only the nominal leader of the Tantric Buddhism, and the current funeral master is a branch of the Tai family. In order to prevent himself from losing power, Deiji, as a high monk of Songjia Temple and a chieftain of Tai, required the funeral master not to leave the Buddhist temple before adulthood and to practice Buddhism wholeheartedly. Therefore, the funeral master is indifferent to worldly things such as power and wealth. Limited by the call of Buddhism, he has a compassionate heart and is unwilling to cooperate with Deiji to conquer other families. As the saying goes, there is gain and loss. It is impossible for Deiji to require the funeral master to have no worldly desires and to be decisive in killing and helping the Tai family to unify the southwest region, right? Next, Liang Yu and Yanai's battle became a battle of turkeys. The strength of these two people is already at the top level among the Delta-level aliens. Both of them are experienced in combat and are strong in both offense and defense. Neither of them will easily reveal a flaw to the other party. So, at this time, you have to force the other party to reveal a flaw through continuous offense and defense. The people on the coalition side were all worried. On the other hand, Zhang Yi and Paji Gaseng were watching the show leisurely. Paji Gaseng looked at Zhang Yi from time to time, with a look of awe in his eyes. If Zhang Yi was only good at himself, it could only prove that he had good talent or good opportunities. But there are so many talents around him, which shows that Zhang Yi is not only a strong man, but also a powerful leader. However, Zhang Yi seemed relaxed, but in fact his eyes had never left the battlefield. If there were any variables on the battlefield, he would draw his gun and shoot at the first time. Liang Yu and Yanai had a fierce tug-of-war. The two of them countered each other's moves, and now they were using every move to kill each other. The strength of the two people was on par, and the outcome should have been an unpredictable thing. However, this was not limited to the battle between the two, and there were too many off-field factors. Although Huahua, who had been roaming in the distance, was just squatting on the body of the snow mastiff to watch the show, it just looked there, and it would bring a kind of oppression that Yanai could not ignore. In addition, considering the consequences of failure, even people with good psychological quality find it difficult to keep a normal mind. If the mind is disturbed, the speed of shooting will be affected, the rhythm of attack will be deviated, and defense will be missed. And such small problems will slowly turn into a mountain weighing on the heart as time goes by. Chapter 13:05 Beheading. The fierce battle between Liang Yu and Yanai lasted for nearly half an hour. At this time, the difference in equipment was clearly revealed. The exoskeleton armor on Liang Yu's body had extremely strong defense and could help her withstand fatal attacks. Yanai's Buddha's light was both offensive and defensive. He later found a perfect opportunity, using the Buddha's hand to transform into a treasure mirror, and shot a beam of light that instantly passed through thousands of meters and shot at Liang Yu's body. Its powerful attack power directly caused cracks in Liang Yu's armor. Liang Yu dodged in time, but there was still a problem with the armor on her left arm. However, Liang Yu was not a vegetarian. After the continuous battle, the physical advantage of the enhanced system allowed her to maintain a high standard of attack, but Yanai's Buddha's light was slowly becoming dim. Finally, after a fierce attack, Liang Yu's long sword slashed Yanai's forehead. It was just a little bit away from opening his head. Although Yanai dodged it urgently, he was still scared and broke out in cold sweat. This blow completely penetrated his skull. No matter who it was obvious that Yanai was already at a huge disadvantage. And with a ferocious beast sitting in front of him, it was impossible for him to lose. The subordinates around Deji couldn't help but say, "Chiba, Yanai can't hold on any longer. If he continues to fight, he will definitely die." He didn't say the second half of the sentence, which was to let Deji give the order to accept the defeat of this competition. Deji turned back and glared at him fiercely, with a hint of scarlet in his eyes. "Shut up. We are here on behalf of Songjia Temple to enforce justice and judge evil. How could we lose?" Lemon Oju on the side said lightly, "That's right. If we lose to the Paji family this time, where will the face of Songjia Temple be?" At this time, she didn't mention the three-family coalition, but only brought up Songjia Temple. After all, their Lemon family and the Shaza family were only reinforcements, but the main force. Besides, they had won the 2 games they fought and saved their face. Her words were deliberately roasting Deji on the fire. Are you kidding? Their Lemon family has lost a powerful alien. What was Deji's attitude when she wanted Jello to retreat? Now, you monks from Songjia Temple have to fight to the death. Deji's expression was extremely gloomy, as if he wanted to eat people. He held the Buddhist beads tightly with both hands and turned them vigorously. Even if Yanai died in the battle, he had to win the last glimmer of hope. Liang Yu held a long knife and said to Yanai with a faint smile, "From the beginning of this battle, you have no hope of winning. Do you want to continue fighting now?" Yanai sneered, "Oh? Have you already defeated me? Or are you saying this on purpose because you are afraid?" Liang Yu said, "Sometimes it is more important to recognize the reality. You are very strong and should have a broader world. But if you continue to fight, you will die." She sighed. "If I were the person behind you, I would definitely let you retreat." Yanai's heart moved. He thought of Cheongda and Solong Deji, who took the initiative to withdraw from the battlefield. They all got the permission from the chieftain, and they would not be punished even if they retreated. However, the situation faced by Yanai today was different. If he retreated, no one could cover for him. The face of Songjia Temple would be swept away, and Deji Tripa would not forgive him. Moreover, he was also a man who wanted to save face. If Deji spoke up and gave him a way out, he might have agreed. But Deji did not speak up. Then he could only choose to fight to the death. "Don't talk nonsense. I am fighting for Tantra today, and even if I die, I will enter the Western Paradise." Liang Yu saw that persuasion was fruitless, so she no longer hesitated. "Well, you choose the road yourself, and I will send you to the Western Paradise with my own hands." She held the knife in both hands, and like a hurricane, She instantly crossed a distance of hundreds of meters and attacked Yanai. Yanai was very strong, but after all, he was restrained by too many external things. After fighting with Liang Yuyo for nearly an hour, his holy light was so weak that it was difficult to maintain the shadow of Buddha. As a result, Liang Yu cut off his head with a knife. Liang Yu's upper body armor had almost been shattered, and this battle was extremely dangerous for her. If it weren't for the leading equipment, it would be hard to say who would win between her and Yanai. Therefore, even if Yanai was killed, Liang Yu still gave this opponent enough respect. No! On the coalition side, Deji, who was watching the battle, had red eyes. He exerted force in his hands, and the whole string of Buddhist beads broke directly and rolled to the ground. Yanai's death also meant that they had completely lost. There was a dead silence on the coalition side. This was the first time that Songjia Temple had suffered a defeat since the expedition. And it was a defeat that Chiba personally led to. All the soldiers were covered in dust and dirt, like eggplants hit by frost. On the other hand, the Paki family cheered, and the sound of celebration spread all the way to the other side, which made the mood on the coalition side even worse. Paji Gasang's face was almost crooked with laughter. After 2.5 years of being frustrated, this time he finally got his revenge and vented his anger. Liang Yu absorbed Yanai's essence in front of everyone. The coalition forces stared blankly, but they could do nothing. But in the end, Liang Yu still left Yanai's body where it was. Huahua ran over and jumped into her arms, and the man and the cat returned to the Paji family's army. Paji Gasang walked over happily, his 2 small mustaches dancing, and the whole person said exaggeratedly, "Oh, praise my noble warrior. Thank you for the victory you brought to my Paji family." The people of the Paji family looked at Zhang Yi and other mercenaries with sincere and enthusiastic eyes. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes and glanced at the opposite side, and then quickly looked around. Not feeling the breath of the funeral master, he said lightly, "I thought they would tear each other apart." Paji Gasang smiled and said, "The children of the Tantric sect keep their promises and will never throw away morality." The promise made in front of the 4 chieftain families. With Deji's good face, he will not break the promise. He paused here and then added, "At least not on the spot. But in the future, he will definitely try his best to get back the humiliation he suffered today 10-fold or 100-fold. That's a story for later." Anyway, after such a commotion, before the Chuanzhou Dharma assembly is held, Deji can no longer make major military actions against the Paji family. Paji Gasang smiled triumphantly and talked to Deji. He said that they would hand over the compensation materials to Deji as agreed. Deji accepted it coldly and then didn't want to stay here for a minute longer, and even left without saying hello to the other 2 heads of the family. Chapter 1306 His Identity. This battle ended with the defeat of the coalition forces. Paji Gasang readily accepted half of the original compensation, that is, half of the serfs and materials in Hama City needed to be handed over to the coalition forces. But compared with the losses of the coalition forces, Paji Gasang was very happy to pay these resources. After all, in Songjia Temple alone, as many as 5 top aliens died at the hands of Zhang Yi and Liang Yu. You know, this is almost more than half of the top combat power of Songjia Temple and the Yashalangtai family. The Ramin family and the Shaza family also lost a top combat power. The ability to cultivate aliens in the southwest region is limited, and their technological level lags behind that of Xinjiang, Jiangnan, and other regions. Coupled with a long period of internal friction, they are even more unable to concentrate on developing alien technology. Therefore, this battle is a heavy loss for the 3 families. Especially for the Yashalangtai family, it is even more unacceptable. The loss of aliens is secondary. With the existence of the funeral master, it can be equivalent to all the aliens in the entire snowy plateau. However, this battle made Songjia Temple lose all its face. As the most powerful person in the southwest region, the prestige of Yashalangtai Deji would also be shaken. The coalition retreated like an eggplant hit by frost. It is said that after returning, the angry Daiji smashed almost everything in his house. This man, who relied on the status of the chieftain of the Yashalangtai family and the head of the family to which the funeral owner belonged to sit firmly on the throne of the Tripa, was not so good at practicing Buddhism. Strictly speaking, he was just a superficial monk. So the kindness he pretended to be was instantly shattered after he lost face. But even so, he did not have the courage to question the funeral owner. Failure is failure. Knowing that the funeral owner would not support him to go to war, he made the decision self-righteously. In the end, he lost everything and lost face. Would he still go to the door to humiliate himself? Daiji stayed at home and announced to the outside world that he would fully prepare for the Chuanzhou Dharma assembly. As for the resources obtained from Paji Gesang, he took them all in his pocket without hesitation and did not share any with the other two families. In his opinion, the loss of their Yashalangtai family was the greatest, so the compensation was not enough to fill their teeth. The Lumen family and the Xiaojia family should know better and stop dividing up. However, even if they had any ideas, Daiji didn't care at all. The entire southwest region was a dish in the mouth of Yashalangtai Daiji. Wait for the Chuanzhou Dharma assembly to end, and I will make sure that there will be no other Tusi families in the snowy plateau. Daiji gritted his teeth and muttered to himself, like a hungry wolf. On the side of the Paji family, the victory of this battle greatly boosted their morale. The soldiers of the Paji family finally realized that the Songjia temple was not invincible. The awe of the supreme institution of Tantric Buddhism in their hearts was weakened a lot. Paji Gesang held a celebration banquet and called Cheongda, Solong Daiji, and Zhang Yi and his party over. He raised his glass and expressed his gratitude to Zhang Yi from the bottom of his heart. Thank you for your help, my dear. It is you who helped our Pai family regain the dignity that a Tusi family deserves. Cheongda and Solong Daiji also raised their glasses and bowed respectfully to Zhang Yi and Liang Yu. Zhang Yi and Liang Yu raised their glasses and took a sip. They take antidotes for self-defense on a daily basis, and with Zhang Yi's time ability, they will naturally be alerted to danger, so they are not worried about any problems. Now that they have lost, I don't think there will be any big moves in the short term. However, the funeral master has not made a move yet, and everything is unknown. Don't slack off. Cheongda heard Zhang Yi mention the funeral master, and a strange look rose in his eyes. Among the people present, he was the only one who didn't know Zhang Yi's identity at all. But after today's battle, he already had some doubts in his heart. After all, even Zhang Yi's men and war beasts have the strength of the top delta level. So how strong should Zhang Yi, the leader of the team, be? Seeing Cheongda's confused look, Paja Jeseng first said to Zhang Yi, "My noble lord, Cheongda is a member of my Paji family. According to seniority, I have to call him uncle, and he can definitely trust you. Can you tell him your identity?" Cheongda's fearless performance on the battlefield completely won Paja Jeseng's trust. If Paja Jeseng hadn't spoken at that time, he would definitely fight to the death. Zhang Yi nodded and said lightly, "It's up to you." He was not very afraid of exposing his identity, but he would not reveal his identity if it was not necessary. Hiding in the dark would make it easier to gain the upper hand in the next action. But even if people knew who he was, what would it matter? Who could do anything to him? With strength, there is confidence. After obtaining Zhang Yi's permission, Pajik Sang said to Cheongda in a serious tone, "Cheongda, you must keep what I am about to tell you to yourself and never tell anyone." Cheongda saw Pajik Sang's serious expression and immediately put his right hand on his chest, bowed and said, "Yes, head of the family. Only the members of the Paji family and their closest servants can call him head of the family. Others can only call Pajik Sang the clan leader or the chieftain."
Sang.
Paja Jeseng took a deep breath and said in a respectful tone, "The one standing in front of you now is one of the top masters of Huashu country and the guardian of Jiangnan region, His Excellency, Chaos. He has extremely powerful power. You can understand that he is the master of the Jiangnan region." After these words came out, Cheongda was still shocked even though he was prepared. He turned his head in astonishment and looked at Zhang Yi, his eyes full of awe, and his swaying eyes were as if he had seen a god. Your Excellency is actually a powerful existence at the same level as the master of the funeral. Cheongda greets His Excellency Chaos. He bowed again and bent his waist even lower. Zhang Yi said indifferently, "No need to be so polite, get up." Cheongda stood up excitedly and said with sudden realization, "No wonder the head of the family was so excited that he couldn't sleep for several days after hearing that you were coming, and the worry on his face disappeared all day. You are here, the Paji family is saved." Zhang Yi said indifferently, "No need to be polite. I haven't fought with the funeral master yet, and I don't know how big the gap between his strength and mine is. Right now, we must figure out how to deal with that person to ensure the success of our cooperation." He concealed what happened that night. After all, it was not right to go to the snow mountains secretly without saying hello to Paji Geseng. Some things are done, and there is no need to bring them up. No one knows, and everyone can be safe. If it is exposed, it will only embarrass each other. Chapter 1307, Local Customs. When mentioning the burial master, Paji Geseng straightened his face. "Lord Chaos, the burial master's power comes from the esoteric Buddhism, which is a secret that we cannot understand. Similarly, his strength in the southwest region is like that of a god. As long as he gives us a look, we will not even have the power to resist. So, if we want to deal with him, I'm afraid we can't provide any information." Zhang Yi thought about it, and everything that happened that night resurfaced in his mind. Paji Geseng's strength is one aspect. The Black Chariot-level combat power of up to 20,000 points is indeed terrifying. But compared to this, what is more terrifying is that he can borrow some power from the distant Songjia Temple. The injuries he suffered can be quickly repaired, and the loss of superpowers can also be replenished. This is extremely terrifying. In other words, unless he can be killed instantly, the burial master cannot be killed in the land of the snow region. But who can kill a Black Chariot-level alien in seconds? I'm afraid that at least you have to have the strength of the gatekeeper of the underworld, or Ho-Tu, who meets the curse conditions to be able to do it. Tell me about the funeral master. I want to know what kind of person he is. Maybe we can learn about his weaknesses through his life experience. There were no outsiders in the room, and Paji Geseng nodded immediately. This is not a secret. As the nominal leader of the Tantric Buddhism, the funeral master's life will be praised by the Songjia Temple. The entire snowy plateau knows his main life experience. Paji Geseng told Zhang Yi in detail. To put it bluntly, the so-called funeral master has been just a religious symbol of the Tantric Buddhism since a century ago, and he actually has no power. The real power is in the hands of the tribe and the 4 chieftain families. For such a mascot, the best way to cultivate is to make him a waste. And religion has a perfect set of procedures to achieve this goal in an impeccable way. That is, studying Buddhism. Paji Geseng said, the original name of this deceased was Yash Langtai Juegwa. Although he was a member of the Yash Langtai family, he was only a branch of the family. His parents were herders who raised cattle and sheep. He awakened when he was 8 years old, and when Songjia Temple got the news, they immediately sent people to take him away. Since then, he has hardly left Songjia Temple. In the first 10 years, he followed a group of eminent monks in the temple to study various Buddhist scriptures until he came of age. After that, he was arranged to stay in the meditation room of Songjia Temple for 5 years of death retreat. During this process, he cannot leave the Zen room. Someone will bring him food and scriptures every day. Hearing this, Fatty Su couldn't help but said in astonishment, "Ah, so, hasn't he been a lama in the temple for 15 years? Paji Geseng said, "That's right. He can't go out at will. Even if he is just a mascot without real power, he is still the incarnation of the gods in the hearts of the people of the snowy plateau." Zhang Yi sneered. Once such a person leaves Songjia Temple and has any special ideas, I'm afraid he will be able to call for 100 responses as soon as he raises his hand, and countless people are willing to die for him, right? In that case, it will be inconvenient for you to manage. Paji Geseng did not refute, but just smiled and nodded. Uncle Yu sighed, but it's a bit too cruel. No one denied this. An 8-year-old child, after entering the Buddhist sect, has been accompanied by the ancient Buddha for 15 years. How boring and lonely would such a life be? Paji Gesang shook his head. Cruel? Not necessarily. He has been living in the temple, and the education he received is that practicing Buddhism is the most meaningful thing. So he not only does not think that the outside world is so beautiful, but he enjoys it. Paji Gesang said here, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. That's why I say he is the purest and most pious person in the world. Zhang Yi sighed. Indeed, imprisoning a person in the name of faith. Binding a person with a noble cage, making him unaware that he is in the cage. This method is really clever. However, he raised his eyebrows and looked at Paji Gesang with some amusement. Letting a person who is too pure have extremely powerful power is actually very scary. The bitter smile on Paji Gesang's face became even stronger. So, I live in fear every day. Zhang Yi carefully thought about Paji Gesang's words, trying to imagine the temperament of that person through his introduction to the funeral master. He didn't believe that there were saints in this world. As long as they were human, they must have flaws. At this time, the guard's report came from outside. It was the chef Luo Dan who brought the food. From a distance, Zhang Yi and his companions could already smell the magical aroma. His and Liang Yu's faces changed slightly. Zhang Yi said to Paji Gesang, "This dish is not to our taste." Paji Gesang slapped his forehead and said, Sorry. We are used to this kind of food, so we were careless for a moment." Paji Gesang said that in the snowy plateau, this was something that only a few nobles were qualified to eat, and it is difficult to enjoy it on weekdays. He quickly ordered his servants, "Let Luo Dan push the delicacy to my room at the back." Solong Daiji and Cheongda looked at Paji Gesang. Paji Gesang smiled and said, "The guests are not used to it. You can follow me to the back to enjoy it later." The two of them showed a knowing smile on their faces. At this time, Liang Yu, who had been silent, finally couldn't help it. She couldn't turn a blind eye to it, because she had seen the source of those ingredients with her own eyes. The silver chopsticks in her hand were bent by her. She looked at Paji Gesang and asked coldly, "Paji Tussi, I want to ask. A big man with a distinguished status, like you should not worry about not having food to enjoy. But why do you have to eat this kind of thing?"
Paji Gesang
and the other two were questioned by Liang Yu in person, and their faces changed a little. It's just that Liang Yu is a great contributor to the victory over the coalition forces, and the three of them should be treated well. Paji Gesang laughed. "Madam, you think we are cruel, right?" "Need I say that?" Liang Yu said coldly. Zhang Yi did not stop Liang Yu. He also wanted to know the answer to this question. Paji Gesang told her a story in the past without any hurry. In the ancient times of the snowy plateau, well, it seems a bit wrong to say this because it has not been too long. At that time, if a person died, they would be buried in the sky. The body would be cut up and then fed to the goshawks. We, the people of the snowy plateau, believe that there is reincarnation in the world. After a person dies, the soul will separate from the body and then be reborn and reincarnated. And sky burial is a means of self-sacrifice, allowing the body to return to nature. He looked at Liang Yu, Zhang Yi, and the other four gently. We faced this matter with a grateful attitude. When the disaster came, more than 90% of the population of the snowy plateau died in just 1 month. We must do everything we can to solve the problem of survival. Chapter 13:08 Madman's Diary. After hearing what Paji Gesang said, everything seemed to make sense. Zhang Yi thought of everything he had experienced in Tianhai City at the beginning of the end of the world. At that time, he had stored a lot of food in advance, so he didn't need to do anything that violated human ethics. But if he was like other people, what would he choose when he was about to starve to death? Zhang Yi had no answer in his heart. Maybe he would choose to starve to death, or maybe he would compromise, but no matter which choice he made, it would be extremely painful. Liang Yu frowned. The past was the past, and now is now. Now, isn't it necessary to do this? Then why do you still eat this kind of food? Paji Gesang heard this and suddenly laughed. Of course it's because Chef Luodan made it delicious. He laughed very happily, but Liang Yu and others felt a chill. Zhang Yi didn't have any expression on the surface, and his back was also a chill. Some things, no matter how evil they are, once they start for the first time, the guilt in your heart will slowly weaken and even get used to it in the end. Because the greatest pain in your heart has long become numb after accepting it again and again. Zhang Yi and others no longer have any appetite at this time. In fact, they didn't eat much today because of the last incident, so they just drank some wine. Zhang Yi stood up and said goodbye. Pajigaseng said, "Everyone, please take good care of your energy." After the Chuanzhao Dharma assembly is held, he took a deep breath. His eyes became sharp. It's the beginning of a fierce battle. Zhang Yi nodded and got up with a few people and left the living room. Pushing open the huge mahogany door, there was a long indoor corridor in front of them, with exquisite white beams on both sides. When a few people passed by, they happened to see the figure pushing a cart in front. Zhang Yi recognized the man. His waist and back were very straight. Even when he was pushing the cart, he gave people the feeling that he was doing something very solemn. This person is the chief chef of the Paji family, Paji Luodan. And the famous delicacy of the upper class of the Snowy Plateau was made by him. It is said that every time the upper class gathers, he will be invited to be the chief chef. Hearing the footsteps coming from the side, Luodan turned his head and looked over. He was in his 40s, with his gray hair combed meticulously. His eyes were dark and deep, as if containing some kind of melancholy. This kind of man could easily attract young girls who were not very worldly wise. When Luodan saw Zhang Yi and the others, he immediately stopped by the roadside and bowed respectfully. Zhang Yi just nodded and didn't speak to him. Several people walked to the side at the same time, because when they thought about what his hands had touched in the kitchen, they wanted to stay away from him. But when Zhang Yi and the others passed by him, he suddenly sniffed the smell, then raised his head and smiled meaningfully. "You still haven't eaten the food I cooked." Zhang Yi glanced at him and said lightly, "I don't like to eat that kind of stuff." "Oh no, to be exact, I haven't eaten it. I probably won't eat it in this life." Luodan nodded approvingly. "That's right, but in the 5,000 years of history books of Huahua country, those two words are written everywhere." He raised a finger and stared at Zhang Yi with a smile. "You don't smell like that kind of food. But the smell of blood is stronger than anyone else. Is this considered eating in another way?" Zhang Yi sneered. "You talk a lot of nonsense." He was too lazy to play Zen with such a guy, and left quickly with his people. A gentleman is judged by deeds, not by heart. No one is perfect in the world. Luodan was not angry after being scolded, and watched Zhang Yi and others leave the corridor step by step until they walked out of the white palace-style building. Some are happy, and some are worried. As the foil of this incident, the two families of Ramin and Shaza can be said to be purely angry. They were coerced by Deji and forced to send troops, but in the end they failed and did not get any benefits. Deji's tyranny made them furious. Lumin Oju stood in front of the Lumin family crest again, shouting that one day he would make Deji kneel down and kowtow to admit his mistakes. The tall alien in her house didn't care about it, but when he heard that powerful mercenaries suddenly appeared in the Paji family, he narrowed his eyes slightly. "Miss Lumin, do you know where those mercenaries came from?" Lumin Oju was crazy, and when she heard the tall alien speak, she still suppressed her anger. "I don't know. The Yashalingtai family has not found out their origins. Too many people have come here from foreign lands during this period," she said, slowly curling her lips. "Aren't you the same?" The tall alien smiled gentlemanly. "Those people are very powerful. If there are Epsilon-level aliens among them, it may be troublesome." Lumin Oju blurted out, "Impossible. Absolutely impossible." The tall alien raised his eyebrows. "Oh? Why can you be so sure?" Lumin Oju said, "In the 6 major regions of Huahua country, aliens will not cross borders without being invited by each other, especially the top aliens in each region. If you cross the border easily, it is tantamount to provocation or even declaration of war. Moreover, this approach is tantamount to inviting a wolf into the house. If there is really an external regional force involved, the cooperating party will not get any benefits. Cooperation is based on the premise that both parties are qualified to negotiate conditions. Go to cooperate with a force that you can't fight against at all, and wait for them to take advantage of you? And other regions, due to the agreement between the 6 regions, will not easily interfere in the internal affairs of the Southwest region. If you really do that, it is tantamount to tearing your face. In the current Huahua kingdom, only the Xinjiang region has the strength to suppress the local snake. But if they really want to fight across borders, they will also need to take great risks, and there is even a considerable possibility of failure. The tall stranger supported his chin with both hands, his expression a little gloomy. Could it be that there are still masters in Huahua kingdom who are not official? He originally thought that he came to this place to attack with a dimensionality reduction attack. As long as he solved the Tantric Undertaker, no one would be his opponent. In the worst case, he could also make a business with no capital and seize part of the treasures of the underground demon kingdom from the Undertaker. But that night, he actually met 3 other Epsilon-level aliens. This made him restrain his contempt for this place. Moreover, a feeling of excitement and nervousness arose in his heart, making him feel extremely happy to come here this time. Check it out carefully. There may be some extraordinary people among the mercenaries of the Pudge family. In the tall alien's ice-blue eyes, an undisguised fanaticism burned like a flame. Chapter 1309, Behind the Scenes. The Shaza family. After Shaza Jatsua returned to the family, he was also full of anger. Not only did he work in vain, but he also lost his right-hand man, Luoseng. If Deiji's men had not been killed, he would even suspect that Deiji had deliberately set up a trap to harm them. But even so, Deiji's final eating manner was too ugly. He completely ignored their face and ate all the compensation from the Paji family, leaving nothing for the other 2 families. Shaza Jatsua sat in the living room with a gloomy face, waved his hand, and dismissed the people around him. However, there were still a few strangers left by his side. They looked inconspicuous, and they were all dressed like local residents of the snowy plateau. But as soon as they opened their mouths, it was obvious that their accent was fluent Chinese. Master Shaza, you probably saw it too. The current situation in the snowy plateau is quite unfavorable to you. A man sat on the sofa next to Shaza Jatsua and spoke to Shaza Jatsua with a smile. Judging from his demeanor, although he respected Shaza Jatsua, he was not afraid of him. If I guess correctly, after the Chuanzhao Dharma assembly is over, when you open the gate of the demon kingdom, the last piece of the snowy plateau will completely disappear. By then, the Shaza family will probably not be able to escape the fate of being destroyed by the Yashalangtai family. Shaza Jatsua glanced at the man. He knew this in his heart without the other parties saying it. In the past 2 years, Deiji's main target has been the Faji family. With the Faji family bearing the pressure head-on, the pressure on their family and the Ramin family has actually been much less. And they were also dragged into dealing with the Faji family together. But Shaza Jatsua understood the principle of hiding the bow after the bird is dead. Once Yashalangtai solves the Faji family, he will definitely clean up the 2 families. From this action, it can be seen that Deiji did not take them seriously at all. And now, his greatest hope can only be placed on the mysterious man in front of him. As early as a year ago, they had secretly contacted each other. After the other party showed his powerful strength, he told him that as long as the Shaza family was willing to cooperate, they would help them enter the demon kingdom. After the success, they will help the Shaza family become the overlord of the snowy plateau. At the very least, they will support them and prevent them from being annexed by the Yashalangtai family. Although Shaza Gyatso understands that the other party will not do it sooner without profit and may have other thoughts. But now, like Paji Gasang at the beginning, he has no better choice. The man took a cup of hot tea from the side, drank it slowly, and continued. You have seen today that the Paji family has also found foreign aid. Without our help, your Shaza family is afraid that it will be difficult to survive the war between them. Shaza Gyatso's breathing became a little heavy. His strong right hand clenched slightly, and his eyes stared at the man and his men behind him. If you take action, can you really protect my Shaza family? The man laughed haha and said to Shaza Gyatso meaningfully, I want to establish a long-term cooperation with you, Shaza Patriarch. You should understand the meaning behind this. The man stopped talking. His identity and status made him not need to say much to Shaza Gyatso. Shaza Gyatso thought for a moment, but found helplessly that he and the entire Shaza family had no way out. Okay, I agree to cooperate with you. When he said this, it seemed as if he had made some major sacrifice. And in fact, it was true. Because not everyone is like Zhang Yi, who has simple plans. If the Shaza family wants to get the support of a powerful force, they must pay enough. Especially when the other party is an Epsilon-level alien, the price must be heavy enough. After the war in which the 4 major families and the monks of Songjia Temple all fought, a period of peace really came. The Chuanzhao Dharma Assembly is about to be held. For the entire snowy plateau, this is the most important event. No one dares to disturb it. In the past history, even if a war broke out, they would choose to cease fire during this period. There were even scenes where the monarchs of the 2 hostile parties came to Songjia Temple together to attend the meeting, and after the meeting, they continued to go back to fight. Faith is a very powerful force that can even affect the royal power. This may also be the reason why there have always been monarchs suppressing religion in the history of the Central Plains. During these days, Zhang Yi and his companions were not idle. Zhang Yi knew that there were undercurrents in the snowy plateau. The opponents on the surface and in secret were all ready to go. The real decisive battle would not take place until the Chuanzhao Dharma Assembly was over and the gate of the Demon Kingdom under the Great Snow Mountain was opened. Since Zhang Yi came here secretly, he could not announce it to the outside world. Therefore, he could only contact Deng Shintong, who he trusted, and ask him to help check the aliens he met that night. However, since the fight was short, it was difficult to accurately grasp the opponent's abilities. Therefore, Gao Changkong could not be sure who they were. Zhang Yi said, "This is easy. Give me all the information about Epsilon-level mutants in the world that you have. I will screen them myself." Deng Shintong laughed and said, "Old Zhang, you are so greedy. These are all confidential information." Zhang Yi rolled his eyes and said, "Don't try to be so mean. I am now a major shareholder of your Deng family. Send it to me quickly." Deng Shintong shrugged. Zhang Yi is now the backer of the Deng family, so he naturally dare not offend him. Let me sort it out. Some information needs to be obtained from Xingjing. Xingjing's intelligence network is undoubtedly the most comprehensive, but with the Deng family's connections in Xingjing's high-level circles, it is not difficult to obtain some confidential information. Soon, Deng Shintong sent the well-organized information to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi called Yang Xinxin and others over and asked them to help consult together. After closing the door, Zhang Yi played the video of that night. He had not shown this video to everyone before, probably because it didn't make much sense to watch it at that time. But now, he needs to analyze the identities of these people based on this only information. On the other side, Zhang Yi projected the information sent by Deng Shintong in the air. There are a total of 37 people in this information. In other words, Deng Shintong currently knows that there are 37 Epsilon-level aliens in the world, excluding Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi and others looked carefully and found that Xuanwu, Li Changgong, and Han Shanzhua could basically be ruled out among the Epsilons of Huahua country. Their ability characteristics do not match the few people seen that night. Chapter 13:10 The Strongest People in the World. Of the Epsilon-level aliens that have appeared in Huahua country, only 2 have not been seen by Zhang Yi. They are Ho Tu Guanlongyue and Xidagarba Shang Dawen from Xingjing. According to Yang Xinxin, Ho Tu is a girl of short stature and does not fit the image of the people that night. Even if the body can be disguised, the ability cannot. As for Shang Dawen, there is insufficient information about his ability. Zhang Yi pointed at his name. This person's name needs to be followed by a question mark. Zhou Kuer said, "But what about the other 2 peoples?" Zhang Yi said, "If they are not the hidden strongmen in the region, then they are from outside the domain." He touched his chin and said calmly, "It is likely that they are from outside the domain." The brilliance of the Epsilon-level alien is too dazzling. Even if such a person wants to hide, it is difficult not to be discovered. Especially now, the world is in chaos, and everyone can't wait to show their muscles. Maybe they won't let the trump cards in their hand show up easily, but they will definitely let others know of their existence. Yang Xinxin looked at the two pictures carefully. She quickly analyzed and connected these characters in her mind. Neon Country, the newly rising evil boy of Ipsilon. After the battle on Star Island, he took advantage of the fact that the Pelican and Izumo organizations were greatly weakened and took the opportunity to rise. Now he is the strongest alien in Neon Country. Fremons, god of fire Dazabog Ivanov. Batagan Crusaders Organization, Cardinal Arnold Olib. Britannia Knights of the Round Table, leader Arthur Pendragon. Columbia, Lord of the Sea, and the newly promoted Piercer of Ipsilon. Yang Xinxin analyzed their information one by one. There are many old acquaintances among these people, but most of them, Zhang Yi and others, have never had contact with them. Not to mention that there are a lot of blanks in their information, especially in terms of abilities. Many people only know their names and have no idea what abilities they have. Yang Xinxin's eyes flashed with a blazing light, like a high-speed running device, quickly analyzing all the information. Suddenly, her brows frowned, as if she thought of something. She quickly unfolded a world map in midair. Everyone's eyes were drawn to it. Zhang Yi walked over and said, "What's wrong, Xinxin? What did you find?" "It's not a big discovery." Yang Xinxin pointed to the map and landed on the location of the snowy plateau. "Now we can be sure that there must be forces outside the region involved in the affairs of the southwest region. The four major chieftain families, Paji Gaseng, can ask you for help. Then other forces may take the same approach. If we look at it from a geopolitical perspective, the countries in the Central Asian region are the most suspicious." Her white and tender fingers moved slowly, moving along the Great Snow Mountain to the west, over the unreachable highest peak in the world, all the way to the west. Now it seems that the Bara alliance on the west side of the snowy plateau is the most suspicious now. Everyone looked at the huge world map, and their eyes fell on the peninsula country on the west side of Huahua. It must be said that Yang Xinxin's analysis was very reasonable, and everyone nodded without any doubt. After the end of the world, due to its complex domestic situation, the Bara kingdom has now formed a huge Bara alliance. In this whole country, religion is the core of development, especially after the end of the world. In terms of national strength, Bara is now one of the strongest countries in the world. In terms of population, they surpassed Huahua Kingdom decades ago and ranked first in the world. Therefore, in the information provided by Deng Shintong, the number of Ipsilons known so far has reached 5. Yang Xinxin continued to say to Zhang Yi, "In the snowy plateau area, our friction with Bara has never stopped. Now that the world is in chaos, it is not impossible for them to take the opportunity to set their sights on the snowy plateau." Her eyes were a little serious. Perhaps what they are plotting is not just the things under the Great Snow Mountain. Zhang Yi's pupils shrank suddenly, his sword eyebrows immediately stood up, and a strong murderous intent burst out from his eyes. "You mean, those bastards want to seize the snow region?" Yang Xinxin said lightly. "If there is such an opportunity, I believe they will never give up." Uncle Yu snorted angrily, hugged his two thick arms, and said viciously, "Those curry-flavored pups have never given up. If they really dare to have any dirty thoughts, I will never let them go." Zhang Yi regained his composure and said lightly, "They don't have the courage to do it openly. It just so happens that we are here this time, taking the opportunity to find out their bottom line. Whether the things under the Great Snow Mountain fall into the hands of the Tantric sect or Zhang Yi, it is their own family's business. But if an outsider has the idea of taking advantage of this place, Zhang Yi will be very unhappy." Yang Xia frowned with some worry. "But now things are very troublesome. Because no matter what, it proves that someone in the snow region plateau has colluded with foreign forces." Zhang Yi said calmly, "Then destroy them." As soon as these words came out, it meant that those families were sentenced to death. Zhang Yi could understand that they wanted to live, but Zhang Yi would not empathize with them. "You have to bear the consequences of what you do. When this incident is over, All those who colluded with external forces must die. Either die at the hands of Zhang Yi, or Zhang Yi will inform other regions of this matter and gather the power of the 6 regions to destroy them. On this issue, no one had any objection. Then, Yang Xinxin continued, "Okay, this is just one of the key points of the problem. There is another aspect that I want to talk about." She pointed to the information displayed by Deng Shintong. There are some records about the abilities of the 6 Ypsilons of Bara. This comes from the intelligence personnel's collection of their battlefield intelligence. Yang Xinxin looked at Zhang Yi. "Brother, the alien in the golden combat uniform, the weapon is the golden holy sword, and has the ability to release the system. This information is very consistent with Garuda of Bharata's alliance. Garuda, one of the 8 immortals. The concept of the 8 tribes comes from the native sect of Bharata. Of course, this is not the supreme god of Bharata, because the 8 tribes all have their own masters. And those who are familiar with Bharata mythology know that the 3 main gods they believe in are Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. But according to Yang Xinxin, Bharata is a religious country, and they believe in the 3 gods from the bottom of their hearts, so no one will use this as a title. Therefore, Garuda is one of the top strong men in Bharata today. Dear Buzz the Brave manga viewers, thanks for your help and support. Stay tuned for more. Please like and comment.